Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
Broadcasting from our northern studios. How's it going, GR Dad?
Pretty good. I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so we're podcasting early because there's so much to get to. The cocktail of the week
is this a no rules then? It's a rules.
This is rules, I think. We may do a no rules later, and we may do the no rules on the normal release day.
Whoa, that's classic no rules.
Right?
Classic. Just when you don't expect it, it shows up. That's pretty good. I like it.
All right, so this is rules.
Crazy.
Cocktail of the week is the peach mint julep.
It's a good one.
The theme of this podcast is going to be our road trip.
Because 5 days ago, we went to Georgia. We were in Georgia.
It actually was yesterday.
No, it was 5 days ago.
So we will talk all about the road trip, but one of the things that we did that I freaking always want to do on this road trip is that you go past all the signs, all the billboards for dozens and dozens of miles for Peach World. Peach World is just like
I think there's more than one Peach World.
I don't know.
Yeah?
I only see signs for like the one at exit whatever it is in Georgia. And I'm always like, oh, they have all this like peach stuff. Like I totally should go to Peach World. And you think it's going to be this giant thing. No, it's like this. It's like the size of
it's like a fireworks stand.
Yeah, it is. Like a strip mall liquor store. Like there's no aisles in it. You go in and then there's like stuff around the walls and you can kind of walk through the middle. But then it's quite small.
Yeah.
But there's a gas station and Peach World is next to the gas station. So we had to fill up the RV and I was like, Ingo's like, you want to go to Peach World? And I was like, I want to go to Peach World.
I pulled off on the exit. I said, let's go to Peach World.
Yeah.
Because I know you love it. Yeah.
We never do those things because always both of our priorities is just get home as soon as possible.
Yeah.
We're not doing stuff. So I was like, well, you are filling the car. I'm going into Peach World.
But I think I missed an exit. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't read the sign very carefully. I thought I missed a Peach World or two already in Georgia, and then this was the next one. And I was like, I'm going to go to this one because Jen wants peaches.
Peach World. So at Peach World, I got peach butter. I got peach preserves. I got a peach fritter, which we ate in the car. You ate most of that.
Yeah.
And I got fresh peaches. So today I was like, what are we going to do for cocktail of the week? Well, we have all these peaches. Let's find a peach drink. So it's basically a mint julep, but with both chopped up peach and peach preserves. I got to say the recipe I found was lacking in the sugar component.
As I would say about every drink.
They want mint juleps are sweet drinks.
Sugar heavy, thank you.
And this uses the jam in place of the simple syrup, which is a fine idea. And there's a lot of interesting cocktails made with jam and preserves because they have a ton of sugar in them. But it clearly did not call enough, so I had to
I know. I didn't even have to say it. You figured that out. I would have been like, could use a little bit more sugar, perhaps.
If I ever go, this isn't sweet enough, then I know for GR Dad it's not sweet enough.
Probably. Oh, you know how I knew Peach World was going to be good? There were 4 sheriff's deputies wandering around there looking for peach stuff.
I had a nice chat with the
2 cop cars parked outside. I mean, it's got to be good if the locals are going around there, yeah.
The sheriff's deputies, I was waiting to buy my fresh peaches, which you buy at a stand outside the store, and the sheriff's deputies were giving their like recruiting URL to the dude, kid, he was probably in high school, who was selling the peaches. He clearly was like, what do I have to do to be a Georgia sheriff? And they're like, well, this is the recruiting website.
Peach County Sheriff.
Anyway, so
they weren't buying the stuff?
They were.
There we go. That's all I need to know. They can also be, impressing people at the same time.
When I came out, he was explaining to them the different sized baskets of peaches, the price along. They also had fresh tomatoes and some other stuff, and he was giving them all the prices.
If Deputy Wanda and Deputy James go in there and get their peach stuff, then I'm a fan, and I feel like we got the right stuff.
Yeah. All right, Ingo, you can't look at me when you talk, or else you have to do the very professional. Turn your head entirely around to the mic.
Yeah, I think I can't not look at you when I talk to you. I think it's the problem. It's a problem. I have an emotional problem doing that. Anyway.
You could look at me just side like Voods, just move your eyes.
Voods always look when he does that. I picture him saying, "Hey."
Hang on a second. All right, I think now we can face each other.
We fixed it. I'm looking at you. Look how much happier I am.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. This is so much better.
All right, let's talk about our road trip.
We were, and I was talking about the authenticity of the peach stand. If the locals eat there, it's good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
The interesting thing about Peach World is that they did not have peach pie. They had. I was looking, like, where the hell are peach pies?
Because I was like, "Give me some peach pie,"
and I was like, "Yeah, peach pie." And then I couldn't find it, and then I hear one of the ladies going like, "Oh, the pie's back here," and I was like, "I was just looking for some pie," and I go
brought out the Southern Illinoisan, you didn't.
I broke out all the Southern, and she's putting like these individual slices of pecan pie out there, and that's it. She's just stacking more pecan pies. I said, "Do y'all have peach pie or just pecan pie?" And she said, "Only pecan pie."
Did you say y'all?
I did. Oh, yes, I did. I said y'all to the sheriff's deputies, too.
Oh, there you go.
I need every... I don't care about the peach lady thinking that I am a local, but I need the...
Deputies to think you're...
I need to
I have nothing to do with that giant, suspicious RV, unmarked RV over there with all the dogs pouring out of it like some kind of bad clown car.
You're kidding.
That I leave running while I fill it up with gas.
Y'all have a good day now. Okay, so anyway, yes. So yesterday.
It was yesterday. It was actually several days ago, but it was yesterday.
Sunday. Let me start at the very beginning of Sunday, which would be midnight, the morning of Sunday. Yeah. And we are in bed, and I'm trying to fall asleep. I was sleeping,
because I sleep on a dime.
Our plan was to get up at 6, be on the road at 7. And so we went to bed, and I laid in bed for approximately an hour and a half. My brain was wide awake and ended up getting out of bed at like 1:30. And I was just like, I'm going to go for a walk because I cannot fall asleep. And
dreamlike, I remember you telling me that. Like, don't worry, I'm going to go for a walk. I just can't sleep. And I felt really bad for you because I was full on sleeping.
You're right. You gave me a hug. Oh. You like half sat up and gave me a hug and were like, I'm sorry you can't sleep.
Oh, well, that was good.
Yeah, so I went for a walk, and then I had to put off on because there's so many mosquitoes, and then I had to take a shower. So I didn't get to bed till like 3, and then we got up at 6, and then we were on the road at 7.
Fed the dogs, piled
You were very nice, like really made my morning easier. I didn't have to do much.
I did? I feel like you did all the work.
I think I took like 3 loads of things down.
You do all the brain work.
Dad took the first shift, so I slept for several hours.
That was the plan. It is real comfortable and real nice and quiet on that bed. That's like the smoothest, quietest part of the whole RV is that bed.
I mean, it's like for me, it's not great sleep. Like I'm constantly sort of waking up, like if there's a bump or if the engine, whatever. It's not the deepest sleep, but
when I
still.
go onto the rumble strips,
it's easy to do
and then
that.
You go, what's going on up there?
Is everything okay, Gingo?
That's what it is. How are you doing?
Because before Dad and I
I'm just trying to take a drink and steering with my knee, which is a bad idea with this RV.
It's very hard to drive. You really have to constantly be like holding it in position.
Yeah, and correcting for wind and gravity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But before Dad and I were together, you had a couple incidents where you would drive well past the point where you were too sleepy to drive. And kind of fell asleep at the wheel a couple times and did not cause any...
You mean in my life?
In your life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so
I can affirm.
I am always kind of worried that your dad's going to be like, I'm fine, it's fine, and then actually be falling asleep. So I do check in a lot when you have an issue to make sure you weren't sleeping.
No one else in the car with me. So, but I had a situation where I went past the rumble strip into those mile markers because I found the impression of the mile marker in my hood later.
I didn't know that.
I was in my 20s. It was a long time ago.
Okay. Jeez. So anyway, now you guys know why I worry about this.
Yeah. But it woke me up.
Yeah, I bet it did.
A little bit. I was like, what was that big bang? I don't know. Better get back on the road.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You guys don't ever do this. Just on New Year's, I ran an overnight ultra marathon on New Year's this year. So I think I started at 9 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Maybe, it must have been 6 because it was still light. So I was doing 6 to 6. And 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Yeah,
on New Year's Eve to 6 a.m. on New Year's Day. And then, my goal was always like, I'm just going to run as far as I want and then bail. And I tried to bail at like 28 miles. I tried to be like, okay, I'm done. And the guy who times all the races down here, he's like, you have to do 2 more laps to hit 50K. And I was like, yeah, but I'm tired. Here's my chip. And he's like, you do your 2 more laps and then you give me the chip. He's like, you can't leave until you do 50K. So
and in hindsight, you're not
I'm very glad he
pissed
did
at
it.
him. Yeah.
I was like, thanks, Mike. Plus, if I had done one more, clearly what happened, I came in, whatever, like 6th place. The guy who came in 5th place did one more lap than me. So clearly what happened is that guy also tried to stop, be like, okay, I'm done. And Mike was like, you have to do one more lap to beat the next person.
Oh, come on, really?
I'm positive that's what happened. So anyway, I finished that race at like 3 a.m. and it was maybe a 4-hour drive, 5 hours from home.
3 a.m. in the new year.
3 a.m. on New Year's Day.
Oof.
And I was like, I'm not tired enough to sleep now. And my goal was always, if I get tired when I'm driving, I'm just going to stop. I'll sleep in the car.
This is a Jeep. You didn't have the RV.
No, it was just me. And I did like pull into the Publix parking lot in like the Upper Keys 2 hours from home and sleep probably for an hour in the car. Because it's real bad to drive that sleepy. Dangerous stuff can happen.
Yes.
Anyway.
I hate stopping.
Well, that's why it's good that we have the two of us driving now.
It's good to have dogs because they have their needs, and I will definitely stop for a dog when I wouldn't stop for myself necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm better at all of this now. I can take the extra hour.
No, that's true. So anyway, so I did get to sleep a couple hours in the morning, and I think I slept for like an hour in the middle of the afternoon.
With Guac and his elephant.
Guac and his elephant, and Vink is always really nervous when we start these RV trips and kind of frantic, and so I kind of got her on the bed. So me and Vink and Guac's elephant had a nice couple hours snugged up in a little pile on that.
It looked
bed.
real nice. Yeah,
it was very cozy. Yeah.
Up there, yeah.
So whatever, it takes 8 hours for us to get out of Florida.
Yeah.
And so when we left at 7 a.m., you put in the route in your phone.
Yeah.
And Google Maps said, 17 hours and 50 minutes or something.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that looks like the normal estimate.
Yeah, so it's usually about 18.
Having done it twice in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, 18 hours is like the Google Map time. And then obviously you have to stop and get gas, take the dogs out. And so we figure that adds an hour and a half, 2 hours, among all, 10, 15 minutes per stop. So, okay, it's going to take 20 hours. That's going to get us in at, 2, 3 a.m., depending.
Yeah.
So we're driving. Everything's going fine through Peach World.
Yeah, we're like letting dogs out efficiently. Like I'm getting gas, and it takes a long time to get, 40 gallons worth of gas every time.
So you can fill the car. We can take the dogs out while the car is filling. Very efficient.
Yeah,
we're very efficient.
We eat in the car while it's moving, and we have a refrigerator, and we
have an oven. I made pizza.
There's water in there. We give the dogs water they're super happy. So it's really it's quite efficient in terms of we move a lot of the time.
Yeah, we don't have to stop for bathroom breaks because there's a bathroom in there. We don't have to stop to feed them. We don't have to go in anywhere to get food because we bring everything fully stocked.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of doing fine. And then we get to South Carolina, which is where the picture I posted of all the dogs today, that was taken at the welcome area in South Carolina.
Yeah.
About 10 hours in. That's right, just north of Savannah. It's about halfway.
Yeah.
Everything's fine, except Brody. So when I had Brody out, and whatever the stop was before that, he had pooped twice, which is unusual, but was fine.
Yeah.
And then Dad had him out at that stop, and he pooped, and then he had kind of diarrhea at the end of that. So it's a thing to keep an eye on. Fine.
Yeah.
And so everything is okay. There's a thunderstorm, though, in South Carolina. Very dramatic.
He's anxious, yeah.
Poor boy was shaking in the RV. He was so scared.
We were seeing lightning real close to us, too.
Yeah.
It was a dramatic thunderstorm, yeah.
Yeah. So fine. We do that, and then we must have made it.
We were still
Is that where we stopped? Was South Carolina? That's where we gave the dogs dinner and we made our dinner. That was all that stop.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing fine. We give everybody their dinner. Poor Hops didn't want to eat dinner. We'll talk more about Hops in a bit. But that's not unusual. Like a lot of times they're not interested in eating or drinking on the road trips.
Especially Hops, who's most anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, she's great. She gets in the RV and gets up on the bed and is just quiet and fine the whole time. But she doesn't love riding in the car.
Yeah. But it's always better in the RV than in the Jeep.
She's much better.
Putting on the asphalt next to the tire is never ideal for getting a dog to eat their dinner.
Yeah.
It's like, this is weird, and I
what
feel
are we
vulnerable.
Doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we made ourselves pizza in the oven and fed the dogs. So it was probably a 20-minute stop, our longest one.
Sure.
Fine. And so I picked up driving at that point, and it's right around. I mean, it's been
like 6 or 7. I mean, it was
10 hours.
No, okay.
Right.
So
it was 7
15
o'clock. Yeah. So I'm driving in, it gets dark at 8:39. And so it's dark and I'm driving and Jared Dad's kind of in the back and Brody likes to ride up front kind of by the driver. And Vood has been kind of alternating getting himself in there. And so I'm driving. I can't see anything, but I get all of a sudden smell a smell. And it smells like somebody has thrown up, which okay, it's a thing that happens. And so I call Ingo over and I'm like, Ingo, I think somebody threw up. I think it's Brody. Yeah, okay, Brody threw up. So that's not great, but okay, it happens.
Wipe it up. Yeah.
So he's cleaning it up and then there's another smell and we're both like, it smells like poop, right? It does smell like poop.
Poor Brody.
So we turn the light on in the RV. I'm still driving. And Brody, as apparently right after he threw up, without getting up.
He just had diarrhea.
Like full-on liquidy diarrhea without standing up just comes out of him while he's laying down.
Poor boy.
Not even, I was like, do you need some poop bags? And he goes like, that's not going to be helpful here at all.
It's not baggable.
No. So I get off at whatever the next exit is.
Paper towels and,
wiping it up. The first time we've ever used the shower in the RV. Because, of course, it was all over him because he was just laying there.
Poor CB.
So I took him in and showered him. And, we both kind of, did what we could with paper towels. Fortunately, we've got some, all-purpose cleaner spray in there. Did that. Bundled up rugs that had been fully soiled.
Wow.
It was quite a... When I said there was a dramatic surprise, it was the 20-minute stop that we had to make to clean up give Brody a bath.
It was not a good surprise.
No.
It was not like the Peach World surprise.
No, Peach World. Nice.
Happy.
The lady at Peach World, when I was finished checking out, she says to the girl who's checking me out, she's like, I want to try some of this bread. Do you want some? And the girl's like, sure. And she turns to me, she's like, you want some of this bread? And I was like, what is it? And she said, it's pecan cinnamon swirl bread. And I said, I wouldn't say no to that. It was really good. I should have bought some of that.
Yeah, you should have.
I'll get some on the way back. That was a nice surprise. Ooh, pecan cinnamon swirl bread. Nice surprise. Brody, liquid diarrhea after vomiting in the RV.
Poor Brody.
And let's just be clear about how much space there is in the RV with 5 dogs and 2 people.
Not as much as you'd think.
I don't think anybody stepped in any of that.
No.
It was a miracle.
I had to strong arm Venk away from the excitement.
You did a good
senses
job.
Excitement and she runs to the excitement. I had to actually use my forearm to shove her away because she was like, "What are we doing, guys? Guys! What are we doing?" We're not jumping off the bed right now, Venk.
Yeah. So that was the very dramatic unpleasant surprise that we had to deal with. I mean. Obviously, it's not fun to have to,
But it was already dark,
up,
and we'd already been driving for a long time, so it seemed less shrug-offable, which is not a word, but still.
I think it is a word now. But, having to give him a bath with, dish soap, which was the only soap that we had in there, to get the poop off of him. Ugh, did you sanitize that tub today? I was wiping out bits of carrot. It was so gross. Oh, it was so gross.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. A lot of laundry today from in there.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he was fine after that. So I did bring basically all the dog medicine. I gave him a Flagyl, which is a pill that helps diarrhea.
Like Imodium, you say.
Oh, you can also give Imodium to dogs, and usually we have some, and I didn't. But the Flagyl's actually better.
We give it to Hopper fairly frequently. She's very sensitive.
Yeah, so Imodium is going in the kit before we go back, just in case. Anyway,
might guarantee that we won't need it, which is fine.
That's great. That's even better.
Yeah.
So Brody seems fine today. Whoa, dear Dad.
It's delicious.
You want mine?
Sorry, too much suction because it was so good.
Yeah, you can have mine.
Oh, thanks.
Brody's doing fine today, thankfully.
He's a little tired.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to go chronologically, and I forgot the morning incident, which is you were feeding them in the morning,
Yeah.
And you put down the food for Guac.
Oh, this is all the way in the morning. Yeah, this is at 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
when
we got to go back in time to just
Yeah.
add some color to this
That's
whole
right.
thing.
If you're watching the snaps, you'll see that I took Voodoo's bowl and I took Guac's bowl and I balanced Voodoo's bowl on top of Guac's bowl, and I was trying to put down Guac's bowl, but it had Voodoo's bowl on top, and Guac is like, didn't wait and just started chomping from the top bowl, which was Voodoo's. So the first thing he ate was the pill pocket with Voodoo's medicine. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be great. I've doped up a dog now.
Yep, half of Voodoo's medicine. And I will add, this is the second time this week.
After the Brody.
The other one was
incident.
mine. I think that was after the last podcast.
Yeah.
I was feeding them, and I put the green beans accidentally on Voodoo's food instead of Brody's food. I mean, they obviously look the same, and they both get pill pockets.
Yeah.
And so I messed it up. So I put the food down for Brody, which was Voodoo's food, and then I was feeding Voodoo last, and was like, oh no. And
Brody had, of course,
Brody has
horked
eaten
it up.
the full, like Guac only ate half of Voodoo's medicine.
Right.
Brody ate the whole, and Voodoo's on a lot of anti-seizure medicine. Brody got all of it. Man, that dog. And it's like extended release.
Brody
so
was
for
dopey.
24 hours. He felt, he was not sad or distressed, but he was just like, he couldn't walk right.
Yeah, it was actually an interesting experiment, right? Because we've always said Voodoo looks a little dopey because he's on so many drugs that he's just slower. He
it was back
is
legs.
nice, but
No, you can't. Yes, that is correct.
she has a reaction to that movie.
I won't watch it, and I will not listen to you do it.
Something with the sloths.
You can just stop talking.
I'm just
You're
trying
done.
to set
I'm going
the
to turn your
scene.
mic off. No.
There's a Disney movie with sloths. That's what Brody's like. Voodoo's like. That's what Voodoo's like, and that's what Brody was like. I'm just trying to bring it back.
That's the first time I've ever had to stop the podcast to get your attention.
It shows two things, right? How powerful the medicine is for Voodoo, and how it lasts for a while. Because Brody was a little out of it for like
24 hours,
day and a half, 2 days. Yeah.
So, yeah, if we, dear Dad, I gave you my drink, and that's your drink. Drink.
Just had to make sure. It's so delicious. This drink you made is so delicious that I'm trying to get every last drop of it.
All right, those of you who send me comments that are like, dear Mom, I love you and your content, but just so you know, it's like really awful to hear the drink slurping, just send them directly at Ingo Burghardt on Twitter. I don't want to hear them. Send them direct to Ingo.
I accept full responsibility.
Honestly, I don't want to hear them anyway.
I apologize for everyone's sensitivities. I've tried it. I sometimes am very good about it, but sometimes not very good about it.
So anyway, so Guac he only got half a dose, so he was basically just a little extra sleepy and tired, which honestly was great.
Yeah,
he just kind of slept the whole time.
I know, because we've had him in the last time we took a trip with St. Patrick. Guac had a Kong that he was chewing on, and his favorite thing to do was to lie at the edge of the bed, chew on the Kong, then drop it on St. Patrick and see what would happen.
He just dropped it. He didn't care about it being on Patrick.
He just drops it in the area and then looks to see what happened and what chaos it caused. Yeah, but this time he didn't do any of that nuisance.
All right, I deserve several points for this.
Defend your boy.
Because he had his red ball when we got into the RV,
True.
and before we left the driveway, he was standing at the little block to keep him from going up into the driver's compartment and dropping the ball in there, and Dad was throwing it back, and I opened the window and threw the ball out of it. It is laying in the yard in Florida because I was like, we will not have 20 hours of playing fetch with Guac, and this ball, and him dropping it in the driver's like floorboards. It's going to get stuck under the brake and we're going to crash.
Genius decision. Full kudos. Completely
Thank you, I'm
approve
awesome.
of that decision. Have praised it since because it kept him from playing his stupid game.
Yeah, and his elephant was great. He was very happy to constantly have that elephant.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So I'd forgotten that in the morning. All right, so we have gone through the Brody incident and are continuing to drive. And then at some point, we clearly entered some paranormal time warp.
It was like 10 in the evening, and we thought we were getting pretty close to Virginia at least, which is a big state that we have to go through before we get to Maryland. And all of a sudden, the map stopped giving us credit for the miles driven.
We keep driving, and then it's like 6 more hours. I'm like, Ingo, that's like
It said that 4 hours
4
ago.
a.m. Yeah, and I'm like, how is this possible? Like, we stopped, had our dinner. Like, that was a longish stop. We had to stop, obviously, and clean up after Brody. That's maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How does this, if we're going to get in at 2:33, how are we suddenly getting in at 4:30?
Yeah, where did it go from
where did the
18 hours to 22?
2 hours go? And I'm like, okay, it said 18 hours. So we stopped for gas, whatever, 4 times. We had these 2 stops. Like, it's maybe added an hour and a half, 2 hours. How is it that we're 4 hours behind that? I still have absolutely no idea.
Because we're not going slow. We are passing people. We are above the speed
80.
limit. Yeah,
Yeah,
we are. I mean, speed limit's 70 most of the way. We are definitely following fast traffic. Mm-hmm. So it's not that. It's very weird.
I am absolutely baffled by it. And then
Felt surreal.
So, nobody likes driving at night, but I am more of a night owl than GR Dad. So he usually takes the first.
Yeah, I don't even like
shift.
being awake at night, let alone driving.
I mean, it's true, like 8 o'clock.
It's not the driving, it's the being awake that bothers me.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it. And
Yeah, you're
so
good.
I was like, I am, I had taken until it, past when it got dark, and then you took a couple hours, but the plan was always that I was going to take the last shift.
Yeah, and I was getting tired. I was like, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah. So I'm taking the last shift, and I'm driving, and then, so I'm kind of looking at the Google map, and it doesn't have like Apple Play or CarPlay in the RV, so you kind of have to just look on your phone. And so I'd like, pull up the Google map, and it's like, okay, 3 hours to go. It's like 1 a.m., 3 hours to go. I'm like, okay.
Depressing, yeah.
Why are we getting in at 4? And so then I drive
Another hour,
and it's like 2 hours and 58 minutes to go. And I was like, bitch, I just drove for an hour.
What happened?
You gave me credit for 2 minutes. And then I'm like, all right, maybe it hasn't updated my location, right? Sometimes it like
for 2 minutes.
it keeps the old GPS location sometimes. Like it,
Right.
Your dot has even moved on the map, and so I refresh it. No, 2 minutes. I drive for another 20 minutes, and it's like 2 hours and 56 minutes. I'm like, God damn it. It was, at some point, we were getting in at like 5:15.
5:15 in the morning.
But
it was like it was like we were in a time loop, because you're right, we would drive half an hour, and it would go, now you're getting in 15 minutes later.
Sometimes it would.
Did you go backwards?
I was telling Inga, you were very nice, by the way. I was thinking, I had to thank you. You stayed up like the last hour and a half with me talking.
I was happy not to have to drive. It was good.
It was very nice for you to converse with me about just like random shit just to sort of stay awake. But I was saying at some point, this is what all of my dreams are like. 1, all of my dreams take place during some sort of apocalypse. And 2, it's always me trying to get somewhere and I can't get there.
It's stuck in
Sometimes it's traffic and I like can't, like, oh, I missed an exit, and then I try to get off and the next exit's closed, or I get off and then the entrance right back on is closed, or I'm in a parking garage and I can't get off on the floor that I want. Ugh. Or I'm like going through hallways trying to find the stairwell. I can't find it. There's always this sort of like, I really urgently need to get somewhere for something and I can't figure out why. That's what it felt like.
This was real. I confirm your experience.
And then, so there was, when we're in North Carolina, the map is showing, I'm like, is there traffic? There's no traffic, but it's showing a tiny little kind of red blip for construction near Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is
there's always some.
There's always something there.
Some slow
It's kind
down.
of halfway between D.C. and Richmond. So,
yeah.
Just to, for those of you who know the area, it's far from North Carolina. And I'm like, you look at the map and it's like, slow down here, but it's probably going to change. And I'm like, I'm hoping when it's telling me this really late time that
it's in the middle of the night, guys. Can it not change?
I mean, so Google is saying it's probably going to change. And I'm like, I hope it's factoring in the delay around that traffic. And that's why it seems like it's going to be so late. And then actually when we get there at 2:30 in the morning, it will be gone and our time is going to drop way back down. It turns out, no. It was not factoring in that delay. It was assuming the delay would go away. And as I got closer, like I'm in Richmond, the time goes from like 3 hours, 2 hours to go. It should be like 2 hours from Richmond. So whatever, it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes to 3 hours and 20 minutes. It went up after like a bunch, because then it's like, well, looks like you're going to hit that traffic in Fredericksburg.
After all.
And then it's going like, and you can go around, like there's always something terrible around that spot in Fredericksburg. And you can go around. You can basically get off, and Route Run kind of runs parallel to 95 and get back on. But it's like, this is the best route, like, despite a slowdown, this is the best route. And then, like, it keeps slowing down, right? Clearly there's, like, serious traffic there.
And it's construction, right? It wasn't even a crash. It was predictable. Yeah.
And Google keeps going, like, best route, even despite construction slowdown.
You just want to, like, shake it.
And I'm like, is it really, though? You keep telling me that, like, you're acknowledging, I understand you could go around this, but I assure you this is the best choice. And so when it finally was like, you know what, I think I'm going to route her around that traffic. And the time dropped by like 40. I drove for 5 minutes, and then the arrival time dropped by like 40 minutes. I felt like my life had been given back to me in a certain way.
That's an important 40 minutes at 4 in the morning. Yeah.
So frustrated. And so I did drive in the middle of...
And as Google does, takes you through like...
Oh my
back
God.
Church Street and Dead Man's Row and you know, Upper Caterwall Street.
So I'm like on Route 1, you drive 11 miles on Route 1, and then it's basically, you know, whatever, turn right onto like Route 712 or something. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit a stop sign or a stoplight on this kind of rural Route 1 and then go a mile and get onto 95. And so I'm going along, and then all of a sudden there's a sign for 712, which is this like one lane side street. There's no stop sign, there's no stoplight. It's just like whoop, like I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to slow down and make that.
In an RV towing a Jeep?
Yeah.
With dogs who, you know, are not prepared.
Very carefully applying the brake to stop us as quickly as possible without hurting anything.
You did a good job.
But I was like, are we all okay? Okay, I'm going to like, you know, I kind of went past it and kind of turned. It was 3 a.m. It didn't matter. Yeah, and then you're driving down this like one lane road. But anyway, it got us around the traffic. So we got in here at 4:30. 4:45?
Yeah.
4:30.
I think 4:30, yeah, which was bad.
And then we can't just pull in here. Like, our driveway's tiny. If we pull the RV up so the bumper is touching my house.
This is in Florida, where we have a U-shaped driveway that we can like pull the whole RV and a Jeep and a boat trailer. It's built for a boat trailer in Florida, right? So
here if we pull the RV all the way up so the bumper is touching the house, and then we pull the Jeep all the way up so I gently kiss the bumper of the RV.
The bumper is touching the RV. Everything has to be touching.
Then the spare tire on the Jeep is about 1.5 inches in the driveway.
Inside
from the road.
Yeah.
So when we're driving, there's a tow bar between the Jeep and the RV, which adds a good 2-3 feet.
Yep.
And so when we get in, we have to find a place to like pull the RV to the side of the road, unhook the electrical, the tow bar, the backup chains. GR Dad has to take the Jeep out of flat towing mode into like the transmission works again mode.
Yeah.
So we fortunately found a very easy spot to.
We're getting much better at it. I mean, we're getting so much better at all this. We're pretty efficient. This is our 4th trip, I think, in that thing, and they've been disasters. Uniformly disastrous. This one was the first one where everything kind of worked. We didn't have to call anyone for help. We didn't have to troubleshoot anything.
In terms of the car working, yeah.
Yeah, the car hookup.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone has been a disaster.
It's been so bad.
Every time.
Yeah. No, it worked fine this time. And I was like, let's hook that up on the middle of the week and make sure it's okay.
At the latest Thursday.
So anyway, so at like 4:30, we're pulling over. People were out walking their dogs, getting ready to go to work. And we were still awake.
Hi, I'm an early riser. And we're like, oh, thanks.
And we're like, unhook the Jeep, like unhook, click, click, dunk this in here. And so then I'm like pulling dogs into the house. Vink was so excited to get here, though. She's like, oh, it's my house, you guys. She's like, don't put my leash on. Yeah. She like ran to the front door, like, let me in here. So it was about 5. Birds were chirping.
Yeah, the early birds were out, and because cicadas are out, and the birds are just like, this meal has been going on for a long time.
And then I had to get up at 8 to go to physical therapy. So this is I've completed my 2nd night of 3 hours of sleep. It was absolutely the most frustrating drive we've had up here. Just not even because of Brody stuff, just because of like, how did it stretch to be 22 hours instead of
Like
19 or 20.
Going backwards.
I don't know. I mean, there were a couple little slowdowns that we hit that maybe added 10 minutes.
Yeah.
One extra, like half an hour.
Construction kind of stuff. Where
But
it's
nothing,
like go down to one lane.
nothing that would add that amount of time. It was terrible.
We didn't understand it. It was surreal.
I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's done, and we're going to be here for a few weeks.
Do you want to hear something that's going to frustrate you, but apropos of people falling asleep on the road?
Sure.
My dad used to fall asleep driving.
This doesn't surprise me at all.
It's either genetic or somehow I'm modeling
Toxic
his
masculinity.
behavior, and it's all connected.
Yep.
So when his best friend, and he drive, his best friend has bragged to me that what he would do is always get my dad into a big argument when he saw my dad was falling asleep. So he'd purposely say like stupid stuff or like fight with him to get him into an argument, because he's like, then he's awake, then he's all agitated.
Good for the friend.
Not good for the friendship, but it's good for it's a very interesting. I really admired that. I was like, that's really smart. That's a way, because my mom will just go,
Frank,
how you doing?
Frank.
How you doing? My dad, of course, is always like, it's fine. I'm fine. And my mom's like, you haven't blinked in 5 minutes. It's not good.
The funny thing is, if I tried that with you, it would have the opposite effect, because not that your dad and I argue much, but like we don't really have fights, period. But if I am upset with you about something and start talking at you a lot, or I'm like, you need to understand that I feel this way and this thing.
Oof.
You have a kill switch in your brain that goes, bad things happening, and people, I cannot express how frustrating this is, though I don't personally hold it against you. He will fall asleep in the middle of me having a very impassioned discussion with him. It is like a mental self-defense mechanism. So if you were like falling asleep while driving, and I'm like, I'm going to provoke him into a fight, you would extra fall asleep.
Yeah, there's a whole thing there. There's a German word for that. This is not the German word for the week, but Schutzohnmacht.
What's it mean?
Protective unconsciousness.
That's so interesting.
Passing out to protect. Schutzohnmacht. Protective.
That's great. What a good word.
Yeah. Passing out. Protective passing out.
I mean, that should be the German word of the week, dear Dad.
Yeah.
Do you have one that's better than that? Because that's maybe one of the best words I've ever heard.
It's a good one, but I've never really thought of it as applying to me, of course. But there you go.
To be fair, that hasn't happened in a long time.
But it's kind of like the goats when you scare them and they fall. They faint.
Fainting goats.
Protective fainting. That's sort of the idea.
You absolutely do that.
Yeah, it's a weird emotional narcolepsy.
It just, when you're like, I'm really mad right now, and I'm trying to like talk through this.
I'm usually not mad. I just feel bad. Oh
me.
yeah.
I'm mad.
I feel bad because you feel mad, so I get really tired and try to and just like will physically get tired.
It's not like he goes, I need to go to bed. You can watch him and his eyes just close. Like you cannot stay. It's very clearly like a thing out of your control.
No, because it's not fun. It's not productive. It doesn't make you happier at all.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, that's fine.
So protectively passing out.
I mean, that, like I said, it hasn't happened in a long time.
Schutzohnmacht. So yeah, don't do that while I'm driving necessarily.
That's a good one.
No.
So that was the drive, and then today, poor Hops is pretty banged up.
She's real limpy. If anyone saw the breakfast snaps, she's just real stiff looking and very gingerly on her front feet.
Yeah, and then I tried to get her up. I don't know if it was for dinner or before, but she was having a very hard time. Like both her arm and her leg on the left side were sore, and then was that right? Her right side. Probably all of them. But she was laying down after dinner, and her right elbow was up, and it's like it was all warm and really swollen. Poor girl. And I mean, I would touch it and you could tell it was really uncomfortable for her. And we give her like a Galliprant, which is like, it's sort of a NSAID, like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug.
Say it's good for arthritis.
Kind of like Celebrex. Yeah. I mean, it's it's one of the many options. We may end up switching her to something else.
And we give her Dasequin like the other ones. That's for general joint.
Yeah, that's glucosamine chondroitin. It's like a supplement. And so I was like, what am I going to do for this? Like normally the medicine I would give her doesn't work, or we don't have it. And turns out it would have been a bad choice anyway.
The Medicam.
The Medicam, yeah. because it's kind of in the same class as the Galliprant, and so it'd be like, oh, I'll give you more Advil. Like, the Advil didn't work because more isn't necessarily going to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I tried icing it. What am I going to do? Like, she's clearly in a lot of pain and discomfort. And so I called our vet here. She has an appointment there next week. And I was like, can you get her in? And they're like, Friday. And I was like, no, like. So then I called the emergency vet that Jared Dad took Vink to with that like 20-hour saga last time.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I know you guys can get really busy. This isn't a life-threatening thing, but I'd really like to help her out. How busy are you? And she's like, we have 30 patients right now waiting to be seen. And I was like, okay, we're not coming.
So my visit was not an aberration.
Yeah. It's because all the vets' offices are booked weeks out now, which is just everywhere. All the vets
COVID
are like that.
puppies and people.
And I think people just, starting to get stuff taken care of. So my vet couldn't see her. We couldn't take her there. And I was like, they're like, we can give you some numbers of some other emergency vets. And I was like, I know them. I just like you guys the best. And so I was like, where can we go? Because this isn't any sophisticated problem.
No, her elbows hurt.
Yeah. So there's a clinic that I took Queso to when she had her vestibular attack the first time. That's, a lot of the emergency vets we go to up here are very sophisticated. They got lots of equipment and specialists, and they're very well equipped. And this wasn't like this. It was, it wasn't like a hole in the wall place, but it's, more kind of like urgent care for dogs kind of thing. So I'm sure they could do a surgery if, your dog broke its leg or whatever, but they're not going to do ultrasounds or all of this other stuff. Or, I don't know, maybe that, but, it's not like this big fancy hospital. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that'd be a fine place. And they probably won't be as busy as the more sophisticated
Dogs and Cats
spots.
Hospital, yeah.
Yeah. So I call, and there's just this female robo voice, and it goes, our vets can help you now if you download our Quick Vet app. And don't leave a message here, and don't do this. Just download the app. And I was like, okay, well, clearly they're doing this thing.
You're not afraid of apps.
And so I was like, I will download the app. And so I download the app, and then it's like, okay, so like televet, like basically the only option I had was like $29 televet visit. And so I assume what they're going to do is ask me what's wrong, and then kind of be like, okay, we've got your notes, take her into the place. And so I do the thing, and then right away they're like, okay, this is Dr. David whatever. And so you have like a text interface, and he's like, what's the problem? And I was like, her elbows all swollen and this, she's really limpy, she's really uncomfortable. Here's what I give her. I have a whole bunch of drugs here. I don't have the Medicam. And he's like, okay, do you want to do like a video thing or just text? And I was like, well, let's do video because it's just way easier than typing all this.
Is it already paid for? Then yes, video.
$29. So he comes on like video chats. We're basically just like FaceTiming, and I explained the whole thing. We had this long drive yesterday, and she's been, she has arthritis anyway. But
I think he used a fake background. What was his background?
It was just, he was outside.
And it was like horse barns and stuff.
I mean, there was like a building behind him that was sort of
good.
barn color.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Sounds good.
Can I tell my story?
I'm
please?
impressed. I think you're underselling it.
Where was I?
He got on and started talking to you in a video.
Yeah. So I'm telling him the whole background of the thing. And I'm like, look, I have a lot of medicine here, but the one I would give her, I don't have. And he was great. He's like, well, you wouldn't normally give the Medicam if she's on the Galliprant, even though it's a little bit different. And here's why. He's like, I kind of like carprofen instead. It doesn't work for everybody, but I have better results. It's like, is she on any fish oils? Like, and you should try this. Oh, the Dasquin Advanced. Like, this is, that's not going to solve our problem today, but that's all really good stuff to help with this. And he's like, okay, has she been tested for like tick-borne diseases? And I was like, well, before we moved down to the Keys, but we don't have ticks in the Keys, and there's no Lyme disease. And he's like, okay, was she negative before? Yeah, okay. And so like he goes through this whole kind of, here's stuff to keep in mind, here's the possible things. And I'm like, so I go into the kitchen where there's the dog pharmacy, like it's a giant storage bin full of medicine. And I was like, this is what I have. I have so much stuff in here. What do you think might help with it? And he's like, do you have any gabapentin? I was like, my friend, I have so much gabapentin. He's like, what size do you have? I'm like, I have 600s and 300s. And he's like, what does she weigh? And I told him, he's like, okay, probably 300 twice a day. He's like, you can go up from there, but that's a good start. Like, that'll really help with the acute pain. It's a different kind of, it's used for a lot of stuff, but it's a pain reliever, and it also like blocks nerve pain. And he's like, and then you can, keep icing it. Like, that was a good idea. And if she's still laying down the way that she was when you showed her on video, like, you can do passive range of motion because that helps like the lymphatic swelling.
You showed her walking around to him?
No, just laying down.
Okay.
And he's like, if she will let you do it, kind of move her leg around in the position like if she was walking, because that helps the inflammation drain out if it's not too painful for her. He was fantastic. So he's like, oh, I'm so glad you have the medicine. I'm like, I'm so glad that you have a thing that I can do that's going to make her feel better.
Right.
So now we just have her on the gabapentin in addition to her Galliprant. He's like, because I'm like, we have carprofen. And he's like, well, you probably don't want to be switching that up, while we're doing all this other stuff. He's like, but you should go talk to your vet about it. And I was like, yeah, we have an appointment. I'm like, but as you know, it's like hard to get in. He's like, I have one opening on Friday. And I was shocked, except he's got this great Southern accent. He's like, I have one surgery opening on Friday. And I was like, I can't believe that's open there.
Would you like a pecan pie?
Man.
I brought some from Georgia.
He clearly is, he wasn't at the local version of this practice, right? He's just kind of on call, and he was out in the country somewhere else. Great. And he was at work. He had his like scrubs and stuff on, but just taking this thing. So I paid $29 for essentially an emergency vet visit for a thing that, like, I totally, if I had taken her into Dogs and Cats, I would have paid $300 at least. I had, now it's easier. If I didn't have the medicine, I would have had to go in, or maybe they would have called
go somewhere.
CVS.
Yeah.
But it could not have been better. And I was like, I can't believe this is $29. So,
and $29 immediate, and he spent a lot of time with you, right? If you went to Dogs and Cats with their 30 dog or cat waiting list, they're trying to get through their cases. No offense to them, right? But they may not want all the background, right?
Yeah, they're not going to be like, well, eventually think about fish oil.
Yeah.
Maybe, but not necessarily.
Right.
So if you guys want to, I have no partnership. I just simply discovered this by looking this thing up today, but I'm so impressed. So the app is called Quick Vet, KWIK.
Like
Vet.
Quick Mart?
Like, yeah, Quick Trip.
Quick
is
Trip
what you're
is the one
of.
in Wisconsin, yeah.
And all of the Midwest. So it's like a kind of maroon icon, and it's got a little dog. Its feet come together to make a little heart. That's the icon.
It's a dog?
There's like a little picture of a dog.
It's a dog. That's good. That's good. It's nice that it's dogs, not a cat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it's a dog. So Quick Vet. So if you've got a thing, and you just like want to talk to someone, and it's not like your dog is dying right now, or even if you're just like, is it worth me going up to the emergency vet? It's $29. Like, I'm shocked.
It's a lot easier than me trying to get Vink checked out, right? I didn't get to talk to anyone until 12 hours later. That was hard.
Yeah.
And that was on an emergency basis, right? It wasn't like I could walk in and say, hey, take a look at my dog.
Yeah. When I finished talking to the guy, I'm like, how much did he get paid for talking to me? I only paid $29.
Yeah, the system, that's weird economics, yeah.
He must get paid more than that, right? Like, it must kind of be like, it averages out, right? Because if they send you into the clinic, then they're going to make a lot more money off of it. So the vets must get paid like some. And he may do something different.
He may be someone who's just a thorough, talkative guy too, right?
No, we had a very nice chat.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like he's looking at the clock one way or the other, being nervous or something, right?
No, I finished with it. I was like, thank you so much. This is great. He was like, so what other questions do you have for me? I was like, man, what? Don't you have shit to do?
What's the weather like where you are?
I could see because he was sitting outside.
Oh, I see.
No, it was great. I was super impressed. Like, this is a thing we were talking about on the drive, like telemedicine for vets. And this was a situation where it was like totally perfect.
I was trying to get you to stay awake, I think, at that point.
I mean, whatever.
But not fighting. I did not pick a fight.
No.
I don't think this is a lesson to be emanated. I'm just saying this is something I thought about.
Uh-oh. There's just thunder and CB just set up.
I see some lightning, yeah.
Don't be suspicious, CB. It's fine. It's just sound effects.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of drugs, CB. We can spare a few for you.
So I think that's it. I went to IKEA today and I bought a Blauhai, two Blauhais.
We've been dragging a bit today.
It's been a
Now,
tough
you've
day.
been productive and stuff. I've been kind of just dragging.
Ugh. I mean,
I'm letting the washing machine do all the work.
productive. I was like, okay, I have physical therapy, and then this afternoon I have to go to campus for a meeting.
A 2:00 meeting.
And at like 2:15 rolls around, I'm like, I can't believe this guy hasn't shown up for our, like, he's the one who wanted the meeting, and he's a pretty reliable dude. Why isn't he here? And then it's because the meeting's tomorrow.
See, I think the story would be fine if you just said, why is he here? He wasn't there.
Yeah, he wasn't, because we scheduled the meeting for Tuesday.
Yeah, I know.
So I did not have to go to campus at all.
Real life is messier. It
I
feels
almost
feels like Tuesday.
I almost bailed on him. I almost sent an email, and because we were going to meet in person.
Bailed on him for a meeting that's tomorrow. That's so funny.
I've done that before. When we set this meeting, it was like, okay, like we assumed we were going to do a Zoom call, and he's like, do you want to meet in person? I was like, interesting. I have not had a meeting in person since March of 2020.
What is this?
Let's do it. You know, we're vaccinated. Campus is allowing this sort of thing now. And so it was gonna, for my first meeting post-COVID, I was going to be like, look, man, I know this was going to be the first meeting, but could we just, and it would have been fine to do it by Zoom. And then he would have been like, our meeting's tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. I was trying to cancel that one. Yeah.
I've done this several times this semester. I've been like, I'm not going to be able to make that meeting. And they're like, well, there's no meeting.
You need an assistant. Me.
All right. You have a German word of the week? You did it. Say it again. I know that's not the one you had planned, but it's such a good.
Schutzohnmacht. Schutz is protection, protective.
Schutz.
And Ohnmacht, OHNMACH, which literally means without power,
Nice.
without control,
Yeah.
is fainting or
Awesome.
passing out.
Such a good
Schutzohnmacht.
one.
Yeah.
I think this is actually enough taste of the keys. Do you want me to do a regular taste of the
Dual
keys?
cases. If you've got like a
Here, this was in
mild
Conch
one,
Life today.
for the sake of regularity.
We often have these man-sighted for undersized fish.
Yeah.
Today there was man-sighted for undersized dolphin.
See, and I think yes, there were like 6 undersized dolphin. I think, and it bothered me when I read this. We should have talked about this, but this is now you're getting it all live
Yeah, no
and
good.
uncut and uncensored. I think it's mahi-mahi. It's dolphin fish. Nowhere in the article does it explain that. You're not allowed to hunt dolphin. They're
I
protected.
didn't think so. And it also said 20 inches, right?
Nobody hunts dolphin, but mahi-mahi is called dolphin fish. And I guess colloquially they call them dolphins because, of course, no one would take a dolphin.
Well, that's interesting. I just Googled dolphin fishing Florida, and these are 100% mahi-mahis.
Right? There's like
Yeah.
they have a kind of the flat face, the like weird, like blunt face.
Yeah,
Like
mahi-mahi
they look
fishing.
like they ran into a wall at high speed.
You are 100% right. And they got that big saily like fin on the big fin on the top.
They're
Bright
sport fish,
colored.
but I thought it was just really sloppy. For nowhere in the article did they clarify,
Yeah.
including the headline that it's dolphin fish
Yes.
instead of dolphin. Like, that, I mean, I guess maybe it's cool to refer to them as dolphin, but
Because I was like, you're allowed to kill dolphins?
you're not.
No.
Or if you are, nobody does, right? I mean, it would be a big no.
No, and I was also surprised that it was like 20 inches was the
Yeah.
size that they put. I was like, dolphins are all bigger than 20
Dolphins are
inches. I was
600
very
pounds.
perplexed.
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked about this and you cleared it up because
No,
you are
it's
absolutely
mahi-mahi.
right.
But it's sloppy.
Hi, could you... Here, you want to talk in the mic? You want to tell everybody how you
This
feel?
is Chief Brody. He's very anxious. He says there's lightning and I don't like it and I'm going to eat this microphone. Let me translate. Oh, Seeps.
Oh, honey. All right, well,
That's Venk.
with that, we're going to go
drama.
handle this. Stop it.
Venk,
Stop
just
it.
because you woke up grumpy doesn't mean you can inflict it on others.
All right, everybody, until next week, don't bite anyone on the face.
Bye.